Goodness me, the time snuck up on me, folks. I suddenly realized I wasn't prepared to go live. Like nothing was on. Let me just try and get some stuff organized here real quick. I was writing up until the last second here. I can probably drop the music a hair. Yeah, that'll be better. So, how everybody doing? Welcome to the Humpday Happy Hour Hangout here at the Director's Garage. Host, resident idiot, Michael. My first post CanJam where I can talk about everything because I published, you know. Let's see. We're still sounding a little thick in the mix. Maybe I need to come up a little bit. How's it sounding at home? How's it looking at home? How's everything going at home? We're going to check it out. I'm going to call it up on my little YouTube-y thing. Nope. Not that one. There we go. Let's just go live to your channel. How's everybody doing today? I got a lot to talk about. I got some things to talk about, and then it's kind of like a free-for-all because I don't have any set agenda for today. I put some stuff in the comments below. I'll talk about that momentarily. Just want to check in, make sure this thing is looking okay, because, you know, I could be a little spicy sometimes. No, I don't want to take your YouTube. There we go. Oh, that's better. Set agenda for today. Oh, way behind. Okay, well, that's looking okay. We're looking good. I hope we're sounding good. Let's talk about some stuff. First of all, happy Wednesday. Or, as we might call it in LA, Taylor Swift Day. Because they're shutting down the west side of the city for Taylor Swift today. She's got, they're doing it's a surprise pop-up kind of premiere for her Eras movie. And so things are just going nuts on the west side of LA today. It's kind of crazy over there. That's happening. But for the rest of us, it's, you know, Amazon Prime Day, I guess. So, and hey, that's what I'm going to talk about in the links below. I put some links down there. First of all, everything Linsole. I'm going to get rid of this because it drives me crazy to hear myself. I don't even like the sound of me. Put some links in below for some Amazon Prime deals. Linsole, cheers everybody, has a bunch of deals up on Amazon right now, and I did a link to that. Move it out of the light. Put my cup down right in front of the light. That was dumb. I put a link down below. Some good deals down there if you're looking for some sort of more entry-level IEMs to play around with. There's some stuff on Amazon right now, and you can link through to that. Also, the Sennheiser HD-820 S2, 30% off on Amazon Prime Day. There's a link down there for that one too. Very good deal. So that caught my attention of the Amazon Prime stuff when we're not talking about Taylor Swift. Yeah, so let's jump in. I'm going to do a little bit on CanJam, and then you guys can ask questions, anything you want to know about CanJam, what I saw, why I saw it. I did the video. You guys saw the video. We had a really good CanJam. I made so many connections for this show. I think we're going to have some pretty good stuff coming our way. If some of the people follow through, we're going to have a really good time with it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. Some of it has already started playing out. In fact, Headphone posted my photo essay, because what I'm doing when I go to CanJam is there's stuff that I want to hear, and there's stuff that it just catches my eye, and I want to take a picture of it. So I try to get in front of those things that just grab me, and like I want to check it out. So what I did when I'm sitting down, I've got this big ass camera. which is in the other room, I guess. But it's got this funky lens on it, and it's a tilt shift lens, so it lets me take some cool. And I'll take some stills, and then I shoot some B-roll so that I can talk about it for my purposes on the show. But the stills I put into a photo essay on HeadFi, and they linked that on the front page of HeadFi. Like when you click on it, if you just type in HeadFi, they put my photo essay up. I thought that was really cool and nice of them. So that was kind of neat to get a little bit of, you know, stuff going for the show up there. And I got a call, or not a call, but I got an email from Warren Chi at HeadFi. He was the guy who stopped me like the police. And I thought, oh man, busted. When I was walking around the CanJam floor, and he asked me if I was going to go to Dallas because they wanted to get me on a panel at Dallas. I'm like, no, I'm not going. I've got work and taxes and I just have a nightmare of a month. And it's getting too close to Thanksgiving. I've got a bunch of people coming for Thanksgiving. This is not going to be doable. But he asked me because he wanted to put me on a panel. I'm like, no, I can't make it. I had on the Atrium. Now, these are different pads than I normally wear on the Atrium. I'm not a huge pad guy. I mean, yeah, they can kind of tweak the sound a little bit. But I'll get some recommendations now and then. And, you know, if the pads aren't too, like, going to break the bank, I'll go out and check out a pair. So these are the Caldera pads, the thick Caldera pads for the and I put them on the Atrium. Somebody recommended that I do that. Let's just say, well, there's another $60 I could have kept. Yeah, the treble is fine. Mids are fine. The bass is just boom. It's got almost a hollow boom effect on the bass that I'm like, I don't think so. But I've been doing a lot of listening to electrostatics, because the next episode is going to be on this one right here, the E-Stat, the king of the E-Stats, the SRX9000, the current king of the E-Stats, SRX9000. And I also was listening to these. These are the 007 Mark 1, whatever it is. And these, I'm growing to really like these. because they give you a lot of the speed of an E-Stat. Maybe not as much, certainly not as much as, the 009S or, like the ones from the last 5 years, or the X9000. But these come with tremendous bass presence. And maybe the mids aren't quite where I want them. It's a little bit on the elevated side, but these sound... I'm getting a better appreciation for these, and I love the build on this headphone. I don't know how Stax got so far astray. This was a perfect headphone design, and the reason that I say that is, I wish I had the overhead camera. I don't have it hooked up. Sorry, fail. What new? Director's Garage. Welcome to the Director's Garage, everybody. Cheers. It's Wednesday. Always a disappointment. But what they got right is the headband right here. Double headband. We've seen this on Meze. Meze has adopted a double band. There's a number of headphones that do that. But they leather wrapped it. And what that does is it cuts resonance. These things don't ring like a lot of other headphones in their, that adopt this superstructure, this outer structure, because the leather dampens vibration. Very clever. And they did this in the year 2000-ish, 2001. They also solved this. This is something that we've seen on Kennerton's adopting. They put, instead of having some kind of need for a plastic mechanism, some mechanism that extends or contracts the headphones to make them longer or shorter, elastic. Simple elastic. And I'm shocked that something from 2000 is still holding elasticity, but these do. and they're really comfortable and well designed. The other feature that I love is no matter how you put these on, and there's nothing playing through these, so I can't even allude to that, although I can hear everything because they're open backs, severe open backs. But look at, you can arrange, if the cable's in your way, you just spin it. You can just spin it. This all rotates, and it doesn't affect the driver. It's just an outer ring that the cabling is attached to, and you can spin it to anywhere you want to have it. So you want it to face forward, get out of your way, you just spin it forward. Likewise, the ear pads. You have infinite number of ear pad decisions because the ear pads also spin independent from the headphone. So you can play with, and it changes the characteristic of the headphone or ear speaker, whatever you like. I get shit no matter what I say. Well, whatever I call them. It's just a headphone. It's not a headphone. It's an ear speaker. You know, depends on who you talk to. Whatever. I don't care. But you know, the one thing that they don't have is the detachable cables, which would be a nice addition to something like this, a mod for somebody to make sometime. But the ear pads rotate independent. The cables rotate independent. This is like a better than 80% of the headphones on the market, and this is from the year 2000. The thinking that went into this headphone. I don't know what happened there, but this is genius. On so many levels. Everything rotates and is independent of each other. Excellent damping, excellent structure. The headphone is always at the proper height for your ears, no matter what size head you have. There's not too much clamp pressure because there's this little L here that sort of takes the inward spring and sort of dampens that down. There are so many good decisions in the design of this headphone. It's crazy. Like I said, detachable cable would have been nice, but they didn't do that for any of their headphones until the X9000. So, major props for that Stax 007 Mark I. You know, and that's had a number of revisions too. I think they still make the 7, if I'm not mistaken. So very cool, very cool. We'll get to the chat in a second. So those are my main topics that I was thinking about. You know, I like to talk about stuff until we get some viewers in. The other thing I would mention is get your name. This is the last chance I'm going to have to talk to you because there's no way that 9000 review is going to be dropping this week. I am so far behind. I haven't even shot it yet. If I was in the final assembly stage, I'd go, well, maybe Friday, maybe Saturday, I can get it out the door. But I haven't even started, I haven't even shot it yet. And the problem is I keep tweaking it. Every time I think I'm done, I pull myself back in. And I think of some new things I want to say about it. It's going to be a very long episode. I'm going to have to edit myself, I think. Because it's really... I have a lot to say about the X9000. I mean, and I should. It's number one. It's the most expensive basic consumer headphone. Now you can go up. You can get an Imperio. You can get you can go up to the HE1 or the HiFiman Shangri-La. But those are so far in the stratosphere, they're not a practical, like nobody is going to consider buying, most people aren't going to consider buying one of those. So this is like you can go to a website, order them, and they'll be at your house within, if they're in stock, they'll be at your house within a few days. Everything else is like, well, you got to order it months in advance and then, wait or whatever. It's not really, I don't consider those consumer headphones. And these aren't consumer, these are audiophile, I guess there's a delineation there too, But, so maybe I'm all full of shit. The one thing I can tell you about headphone reviewers in general is that every one of us is completely full of shit. It's just in, different degrees, I guess. I don't know. It really is the pinnacle of price and maybe performance for what you can buy without going into those uber unobtainium level headphones. So I should devote a lot of, my point is I should devote a lot of time to it. It should be a review that's more inclusive and more talking about some comparisons in it. You know, I'm not even going to, probably won't bother with a shootout of that headphone. The next shootout, it would be included in the next mega shootout whenever I decide to do that. I'm not close to that yet, I don't think. I did that, you know, it was about almost a little under a year ago. I did you know, one of my last mega shootouts in 3 parts with, and I did 9, I think I had 9 headphones in that shootout. I don't know that I'm quite there yet, but you know, I have some stuff I could throw into it. It's just, I don't know that I'm ready to go through that whole process again. Because just the research on those that episode is so long. Because I'm comparing everything. I'm comparing every good headphone I have in-house against each other. Sorry I coughed, folks. I don't have a cough button on this mic. It's kind of a flaw, much like the whole show. Let's get to some chat. And I'll loop back and talk about all this stuff, I'm sure, a dozen more times. Before we are done, let's get the chat moved over to an area so it doesn't look like I'm looking off into Narnia. Talked about all my notes. Let's make sure I got everything. Contacts, Linsole, Taylor Swift. Yeah, that's it. I make some notes. You know, I like to do some homework before I just go live to the nation. To the headphone nation. It's amazing. Ken Workshop, afternoon. Ken Workshop. Ken is an enthusiast and a designer of quality, I hope, because I haven't heard it, but quality homebrew headphone products. And he sent us about a month ago, we went over a video he sent on a live stream of an amp he designed. So cool. So cool. So cheers, Ken. Cheers to you. Thanks for that content. That was amazing. I'm going to just real quick, we're going to drop the temperature in here because it's starting to heat up and you don't need to see your director sweat. I don't sweat anyway. I perspire, boys. But yeah, it's set to 82. That's going to be a little toasty, especially for, yes, I want to change the temperature. Jeez. All right. Got some cool air coming in just a few minutes. Thanks, Kendra. Tommy V, hello. Hi, Tommy V. Anthony Berryman, good evening, Michael. Hope you are keeping well. I'm keeping as well as I can. I was writing, it was funny, you know, it's like anything, I'm very mono-focused in what I do. So I was writing, I've been writing a script. I write a lot of obits. So I've been going through, I've had a bunch of obits last week. Nothing, it's just stuff we have to prepare as a news organization in the event that somebody passes away. We like to have everything sort of in one place so that, you know, it may not air the exact thing that I write, but it's at least a starting place if somebody passes away. So I've been writing a lot of those. So anyway, I was knee deep in this obit and I was like writing and I was just starting to arrange it and I was getting my thoughts were just working. I looked up and I'm like, oh, it's 3:19. I've got 9 minutes to get all the lights on, close the curtains, you know, get the light down in the room so that the background doesn't look horrible. I still got a little bit of problem there, but I forgot to shut that door. But yeah, it's, you know, like, oh, and then I'm like, where are my notes? That I started taking some notes. Where did I put those? And then you got to remember to turn there's, you know, knobs and buttons and dials and preamps and all kinds of crap you got to turn on, get the lighting. It's just like all that, and it was like, oh, I've got 3 minutes to do that now, and I haven't gone to the bathroom yet. I'm gonna be out here for an hour. That's not gonna be pretty. So funny. I like the thick pads on the Caldera versus stock pads. Tour pads on the Susvara with rings from HiFiman. Ken Workshop. What do I have on my Caldera? I think I have thick pads on the Caldera too. But on the Atrium, it's not working so well for me. It's just muddying up the bass, I think. And there's like a hollow effect to the bass too. It kind of makes it kind of a bass bloom, a little boomy down low. And they're you know, there's good bass presence on those already, and this takes a dark headphone and it really makes it dark. I'm like, it's too much. And I thought, well, maybe my other thought was, and I don't have a pair like this, but if I had a thick suede pad, that might work better, because suede will absorb some sound. These are leather pads. Leather won't absorb much. It's going to pretty much direct whatever's coming out of the driver into your ear. And I thought, maybe with some suede pads, that would suck up some of that extra boom a little bit. A lot like these pads on the walls around me. Can't really see them, but they suck up noise in the room and try to keep my booming voice from getting too boomy. That's how I can tell when I still have too much echo in the room, but it's better. It's way better than it was when I first moved in. I just have another round. The director's garage is painfully broke right now. We moved. What do you want me to do? Mark 1 is the best headphone in the world. I don't know if I go that far, Diamond Maker. By the way, cheers. Cheers. Happy Wednesday. I think it's a very good headphone, though. I don't know if it's my favorite. I have a number of favorites. I mean, based on my shootout, my favorite would be the Abyss 1266 TC, and it is a spectacular headphone. The thing about the Mark 1 is, if you're gonna compare, and this will be in the video, I guess. Maybe it won't be. Maybe I won't have time for it. But if you're gonna compare, what's the big difference? What did they learn in 20 years? Well, they learned how to make better detail. The detail is better. The bass is tighter, but there's less presence in the SRX 9000. And the sound stage is infinitely better on the SRX 9000 than it is on, and the image is a little sharper, is considerably sharper actually, on the SRX 9000 over the MK1. However, and talk about the 007, this brown leathery gold goodness here from Stax from the early 2000s. But it's what I like about it is how complete the sound is. There's so little missing. You know, like, I don't feel like, and I think there might be a little bit too much mid presence for my taste on that headphone, but boy is it well rounded. Boy is it well rounded. It does so much so well. It ticks a lot of boxes. Very few headphones impress me beyond that. That's an incredible headphone, and I'm very happy that my friend in Scotland, Ireland, I don't remember, but he sold me that his own personal 007 from his collection. He has a bunch of them, but it's worth the price of admission. It was worth it, and he gave it to me for a reasonable price. I've seen these things go $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 sometimes, and I got mine for under $3,000. To me it was a great, because it's a 20-year-old headphone. Find one in that kind of condition that's like immaculate. There's barely any wear on this thing. Barely anywhere on this thing. There's still retention in the spring. The pads aren't like all distorted and crinked up. I mean, that is in prime condition. Really beautiful. I get you. So let's go on. Gringo Star. Cheers, Gringo. We had a bunch of back and forths last week. Hi there, Michael. Greetings from Finland again. Can't stay long because he has to work tomorrow. Yeah, I know the feeling. The struggle is real, my friend. Diamond Maker says, no, they did have a detachable in the 90s. Oh, well, that's good to know. I am not a Stax aficionado, and I've had the SR Omega. The first 007 was detachable. Very cool. I did not know that. Well, I wonder what went wrong. But it was a great idea. It was like surprising, like that they eliminated it for so many years. They eliminated the removable cable. Gringo Star, sorry, got his Sony XM5s today for a really nice discount, $245. They're on a par with really quality headphones. No, but they're, you know, if you're, you know, not everybody can or should, you know, go off and spend $3,500, $6,500, $3,000, $5,000, you know, like, I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd. No, not everybody should, even I shouldn't do this. I'm trying to sell a bunch of them. If you want to buy a pair of of nicely used, well-kept IEMs, my special effect, directorsgarage at gmail.com. Thanks for playing. But I am trying to lighten this stable down. I've got to shrink it up and pull some money off the table. I've just got too many headphones here. It's crazy right now. Looking to get rid of the Expanse. I would say there's not much here I wouldn't sell. There's only a couple of headphones that I think I'd be like, well, I don't really want to get rid of those. So I'd price those higher. Somebody can buy them, but it's going to cost you. Anthony Berryman, did you? Oh wait, I missed one. Gringo Star, like the previously commented, he only has the Stax SR Lambdas. Yeah, those are good headphones though. A lot of people love the Lambdas, so there's nothing wrong with that at all. But yeah, you shouldn't. Nobody should go into debt for headphones ever. It's a bad plan. Oh my gosh. Anthony Berman says, did you get to listen to the Mass Kobo at CanJam? No. That is an amp that I really it's one of the ones I missed, and yeah, sorry. I just missed. I had one day to spend at CanJam, and there were a number of contacts I wanted to make for the show's purpose. That conversation time and seeking out time took the place of some listening time. So I didn't get to check out everything that I wanted to. And I told you in the video, like I tried to get to that. I tried probably 3-4 times to get into the Warwick Acoustics booth or get in line at the headphones.com. It's just like the lines were crazy long on those. And this was, to HeadFi's credit, that CanJam was really CanJammed. It was, I mean, the number of people attending must have given them a really good feeling by the end of it. It was because it was packed. It was packed unlike any CanJam I can remember. I've always been at like 1-2 deep at the most for anything. And even the first time I went to CanJam and they had the HE1 set up from Sennheiser in the special room, I walked up and they said, yeah, we had a cancellation. Why don't you come in at around 11 and we'll sit you down with the thing. Great. You couldn't, there was no way. It was so packed and the list was so long, like there was no way you were getting in. And I told somebody else, you know, asked me, did you go and listen to the HE1? And I'm like, no, first of all, I've heard it before. So, and then they have such limited slots and there were so many people there. I would think for somebody who's already heard it, you know, I've had the experience and I remember what it was. It's not really fair for me to take the time away from some other enthusiast who hasn't heard it before, you know? So it's like, you know, I had my experience and I'm glad. And if I ever got the chance, sure I would. But, and I'm running a show, so I get a little more attention perhaps than other people. And it's like, it's almost like I'd be using whatever small amount of power 5,000 subscribers on YouTube gets you, 5,200 now because the contest. Really, folks, do a giveaway. You get more subscribers in a hurry. But and that was part of the goal. I'll be perfectly transparent. Part of the goal of the giveaway is to get new subscribers. I just don't require it because I hate forcing anybody to do anything. Don't do anything you don't want to do. If you really don't want to subscribe to the show, if you think I'm a total dweeb, fine. But you probably shouldn't answer the contest either. giveaway, but you can. You know, I wouldn't. But then you also run into problems with it being a lottery if there are certain conditions that would make it a lottery. So I just want it to be fun and, you know, whatever. So I didn't want to take up that space, but I didn't get to the Kobo either. It was one of those things that I wanted to get to, but I had so much to do that day. And so much to get to. It's just I can't see everything, and I can tell you how to stay married, and that's don't spend 2 days at CanJam. Good way to, you know, put your marriage in some jeopardy is to spend 2 days at CanJam. You're going to be in the doghouse for a couple of days. You got to that's a check I just don't need to write on a personal level, on an interpersonal level with my wife. And so, you know, I spend a day there. I get to see some cool stuff. I see as much as I can, but really it was about social more than anything, and getting to see people, getting to meet people, and helping this show out going forward, because clearly my budget is much tighter than it's been at any point in the past for this show, because we moved and you know the house costs more and everything costs more, so my budget to buying headphones is tighter. So I'm going to have to make some deals with folks to try and get additional product in. And Audio 46 has been spectacular, but I can't expect them to clean out their entire coffers and send it to the director's garage for me to review. They'll have nothing on their floor, showroom floor, and I'll have a stack of boxes. By the way, right here in the background, that is a box from Audio 46 that we will be unboxing after the Stax X9000 review. I did that right. 2 a.m. almost bedtime. Listen to this later, mate. Yeah, go ahead, Gringo, and cheers, buddy, and have a great sleep and a good day, good rest of your work week. So yes, Ken Workshop. How do Stax hold up over time? He's been through panel replacement on his Martin Logans. Ouch. Well, I can't, you know, I will tell you, Ken, I'm not a Stax aficionado. Although I've owned 3, and I guess that would make you an interested party, but none of my Stax have experienced any sort of problem at all. And here's the interesting thing. Here's an interesting thing. This headphone has little or no driver flex. And you know what I'm talking about, driver flex? That's the popping effect when you put these on your ear. I can make them pop if I really, you know, push in and out. I can get a little bit of that effect, but nothing electronic when they're plugged in. It never does that the carbon effect where it's really jarring and electrical and you feel like something's really going wrong even though it's not. It's normal. The SRX9000, and this will be in the review too for sure, I have never once gotten these to driver flex at all. No matter what I've done to them. I can put them on, I can pop them. I cannot make that driver flex situation happen. So maybe there's a run in the middle, and I certainly would have expected on those middle years where we had the SRX 9000, the the SR009S, the SR007 Mark IIs, Mark IIIs, whatever they were. The plastic on those headphones was so brittle. I've got to think they had so many parts replacements on those, because they just look fragile and they look like you could snap them just by setting them down funny. So I gotta think as that plastic wears, yeah, you're gonna have problems with that. But there's nothing to worry about there. You know, all I've got on that is an elastic band over the top, which apparently has held up somehow, which is shocking to me, because I would expect on an old pair of headphones like that, the one thing that would go would be the elastic in the headband, and it hasn't. Now, that's not to say it won't, but, you know, finding a piece, I can take it to my local dry cleaner, and he can stitch in a new a new elastic band over the top of them if I had to. You know, I'm like, it's just a piece of elastic. It's common. It's something we have around the house, and most likely, you know. So just huge. It's funny how they've kind of come around. But look, you look at the SR009, and rather than doing that leather or pleather or whatever it is wrap on this double band, they put a damper in the middle. This is a sound damper. It does nothing other than reduce ring. This has nothing to do with structural integrity of the headphone. There are a million headphones with a double band over the top. This was just because when they tapped on it, they went, oh, there's a lot of resonance there. We better put something there. So they tacked this ugly-ass piece of metal in to dampen the ring and reduce resonance in the headphone band, because they probably found, I'm imagining they found, I can't imagine they didn't find, resonance in the headphone band from the drivers. But it's cool that they had a much more elegant and attractive solution 20 years before. It's just a question of why wouldn't they just revisit that? They did it so well back then. So, very interesting. But that's a solid tease of what's coming up in the next episode, guys. I don't want to give away too much. But, yeah, I've never had a driver freeze up or lock up or anything like that where the membrane has permanently stuck to one of the stators. I've never seen that happen. How about the Lena versus the Cord HTT2? Well, you talking about the TT2? That's the desktop TT2? Isoparametrics? Well, I got rid of the Cord. TT2 stack with the M scaler. Sorry, there's a plane going by outside. And the door's cracked so my cat can get in and out. So Howley can get in and out. Insert your crying sound effect here. But the Lena is a much more refined affair. And the Cord stuff leans a little on the bright side. So does the Lena, for that matter. It's a little bit on the bright side. But the Cord stuff is definitely a little more in that brighter lane for a DAC. But the Lena it's a different league, DAC wise, for sure. And I can say that with confidence because I've had both. And honestly, I was prepared to go with either the Weiss. I looked at the Weiss audio. That was I was really close on that. The Weiss and the Stack, the Halome Stack KTE3, KT2. Oh, I'm hearing some foldback from this. That can't be good for business. This is what happens when you go on the air late. I forgot to mute the TV. It's slight. It probably didn't change much, but for you guys, but I can hear it here. So, and I don't have the amp. Isoparametrics, if you saw my Head-Fi episode, which is the last one I posted, I got to hear for the first time. Remember, I was not at last year's CanJam because I could not make it, so I never got a chance to audition the Lena. I bought the Lena DAC cold based on reviews and research and features that I really wanted to have. It was very important for me to have a DAC that natively decoded and everybody hates me for it, but natively decoded MQA files, because I listened to a lot of title, and the better sounding title files are in MQA for better or for worse until they if and when they change over to FLAC, which is fine. But to this day, they're most of their stuff that's high res is MQA, and having an MQA DAC was important to me for the interim, at least. and it's still, when you have an MQA, when you're decoding MQA, it sounds really good still to this day. And I'll die on that hill if I need to. Know that I'm, you know, every time I mention MQA, and like y'all are just upset with MQA. This guy's, there's like this passionate hate mongering fervor for MQA, but I wanted to have an MQA decoding DAC that was important to me, and I wanted a DAC that could stream on its own, so I didn't have to have all of this turned on in order to access title, and I can do that on the Lena. I can just run it from an iPad with all my systems shut off, and I can sit there and stream all night long on headphones and not have fan whir from my computer. And I've got these two massive 5K monitors on either side of the camera. I did one of the episodes, I showed you the reverse angle. You know, all of this stuff up here generates noise, so I wanted to be able to turn everything off and just stream from Tidal and listen to music, because it's a much quieter environment when I do that. So that was important to me. Anyway, so when I went to CanJam to hear, I'll say this 4 times without getting it right. Cheers, everybody. Wednesday. Tipping a glass to you guys. What I went to CanJam to hear was the Lena clock. I wanted to hear the Lena master clock in the chain with the Lena DAC, because that's possibly my next purchase if I can sell some gear. That's something that I'm eyeing closely. But in that process, I also heard the DCS Lena amp, and I was really impressed with it. I heard some better amps that day, but there weren't many that I heard that were better. So that's a serious piece of kit. That is major piece of kit. That Lena system is really impressive. It shit's 30 grand. And I've seen people just denouncing it. It's not all that, and blah, blah, the ring, DAC, and they'd rather get an R2R, $2,000 and be done with it. That's fine. But it's an impressive system for a reason. It's one of the best out there I've heard, period, at any price. And you can make arguments, it's at that point, at this level of quality, it's more about preference than it is about technicals. Like, you can listen to the Warwick stuff and you're in that upper 1% in the headphone. Anything you decide is going to be based on ergonomics, features that you specifically want, and just sound preference. But you can't argue that it's a bad system. I mean, it's just amazing. The thing is killer. It's so much fun to sit down and listen to. It's just a dream system. Grio Star, cheers. He's gone by now, but cheers, buddy. Have a night. Have good sleep. So Lena versus Cord TT2. I don't see that as much of a challenge between the two. The Cord is brighter. The Lena is much more refined. And even with the amp scaler in the system, I don't think it touches the Lena, and that's the Lena without the master clock. So. I don't know. That's my opinion of it. I'm sure everybody has different opinions, but that's what I think. And no, I don't have the amp here. So, and that's something maybe I'll do someday, a little down the road. But boy, oh boy, get a lot of money in those systems. And I've got electrostats and tape machines back there. Yikes! Fire sale at the director's garage. You can use your white space for more headphone gear after she leaves. Okay. I like marriage, boys. I like marriage. It's been good. I like my marriage. I'm staying there. We're standing pat. We're holding on 17 and enjoying it. Chance D. When one has much to do and not enough time, adult diapers are a good find. And now back to our show. Okay, well, thanks for the any manufacturer of those adult diapers on Stax. That's great to know. It's definitely, this is Ken Workshop again. It's definitely obvious when electrostatics have trouble. Yeah. Oh yeah. You don't miss it. You know, it's like a tube blowing. You know, when a tube blows, you know it. It is painfully obvious. I've had several tubes go up on me, 300Bs, most of them, and when they go, it's a show. You have no doubt that something major has gone wrong with your system. But the most common thing that I've heard with and forgive me if I'm wrong, Ken, maybe you can shed a little light, but the most common factor, hi, let me have it. I'm trying to make a demo here, boys. Let go of yourselves. These things have a membrane inside, and it's charged positive, I believe. And then there are negative stators on either side that alternate opening and closing the circuit. And what the effect has is it vibrates the membrane at amazingly fast speeds in between the two stators. And what can happen in a bad situation is that positively charged membrane can run into one of the stators and stick there. And if there's enough power going through it, if there's enough power actually going through the headphone at that point in time, it can fuse. It can fuse the membrane that floats to the stator, and it's actually like a weld. It'll actually weld, like it's like an arc weld. It'll fuse it, and then that membrane can't move anymore. And once that membrane can't move, you're out of sound. It's got to move. It's got to be able to move. So so that's what can really go wrong on electrostatics. In addition to any number of electronic problems, sure. and problems as far as breakage of the mechanisms and the housing or whatever. Yes, sir, Hugo TT2. Okay, so we talked about that. He saw my Head-Fi episode, but he also has short memory. Well, I'm just impressed that you saw it to begin with, because nobody watches the show. We're a select but mighty few. Yeah, Lena Stack retails 31 grand. It is, and so I've just seen. Look, I've seen tons of raves for the system. I've seen a lot of raves, but I've also seen some criticism about it. And I've had some people, oh, you made the wrong choice for DAC and this and that, and you needed to go with, you should have gone with. A lot of people were mad that I didn't go with the Hollow May. And I looked at a lot. I looked at Lampezator. I looked at the Mala Tambaki. And I looked at a lot of those DACs. I mean, I actively, and there were a variety of reasons, and some were cosmetic, some were features, some were just the review didn't sound as glowing as I'd heard in the Lena and the Right system, and then the tech of it, it seemed like the DAC that I really wanted in here. It came out on top, and that's why I bought it, because I wanted it, and why not? People who, but then I've had people just swear at me for, like, oh, you're a fool, you made the wrong choice, and I'm like, well, I tell you I'm an idiot every single episode, so what's your complaint? There's a lot of other shows out there, boys, and I know I am not in the mainstream at all. Just look at that last episode. It was ridiculous. It was fun. I amused myself tremendously. I hope you guys were amused too. We're just having a good time with this stuff, and if we can't laugh at some of these things, what can we laugh at? I mean, why are we here? Some of the stuff is just absurd. And it's absurd that I spent that much money. I bought it used. To be fair, bought it used, bought the Lena used. I did not pay full price. And that's a major consideration anytime I'm doing anything. I so rarely buy anything new in this hobby because the second you buy it, it loses money. So I'm like, why should I take the hit? Let somebody else take the hit and I'll get it on the rebound. Parametrics, yeah, he had some noisy 6S and 7s and 8. Those are driver tubes. Sometimes stuff doesn't quite compatible. And I had a tube that I've seen people rave about, which was the PS Vane 181, which is a silver tube with a copper top and a copper base. And it's a driver. And every time I put those in my WA5LE, I could hear audible distortion, like in the sound coming out of it. And it wasn't the tube. It wasn't that it was a bad. It's just that tube in that amp. No freaking good. And I sold those off, and whoever bought them said no, they likes them. So I'm like, fine, but I didn't like them. They were just crunchy to me, crunchy tubes. And I've tried a bunch of tubes in this. I did some tube rolling. I haven't done as much lately because I really haven't had headphones that take advantage of the tube as much in-house. Couple, but the solid state stuff has been sounding better with most of the headphones I have, for whatever reason. Ken Workshop, it's no DCS, but plans to get the Ferrum Wandla in for review. If somebody sends it to me from Audio 46, I would certainly review it. I have no qualms about reviewing it, and I'm a huge fan of Ferrum's products. Ferrum and Burson to me are just, they're neck and neck. They're always push and pull a little bit forward in different little areas and stuff. They're both very high quality and reasonably mid-tier. Still expensive, but mid-tier products. Maybe upper mid-tier you would call it. So you can get, I think there's a lot of value there, and I really enjoyed, especially after, and I don't know, Ken, maybe you were one of the ones who were telling me to do this, when I changed the amp to full output, and I started controlling the volume with a preamp. Once that thing was converted to full volume, it started driving anything I put through it, including the Susvara, to at least, up in their upper end of potential, if not the top of their potential. And we all know I've just jumped through hoops trying to get that Susvara to do what I want it to do, and it still hasn't to this day. And so if anybody wants to buy a Susvara, it's, many people justifiably call it the best headphone in the at least consumer headphone you can buy to this day, and it's still HiFiman's top product in the consumer space. Unless you go up to there, you can go up to the Shangri-La, but it's $50,000, folks, or $40,000, whatever the hell it is now. They dropped it. I think they dropped the price a little bit, but. It's not a reasonably feasible. Nobody's going to buy it. You're going to have a few, like, super esoteric millionaires who will, sure, they'll buy it. But I think for the most part, people aren't going to buy that. They'll listen to it at a show and oogle it and go, wow, it's really great. But nobody's going to buy it. So it's still HiFiman's top headphone, the Susvara. It's just never quite done what I wanted it to. The Caldera fits my personal preferences more than the Susvara does. And admittedly, the Caldera is like that much slower. It just misses a little bit of the speed of the Susvara, but it's an infinitely better tuning for my taste. It's just a great headphone, and it's half the cost of the Susvara. I'm like, it doesn't take much I ever tell you guys I have a drinking problem? Jesus. Live action, folks. Live action. It'll buff out. DCS need a second mortgage. I know. I know. Did you by chance hear the audition the new HiFiman wireless in-ears? No. I did not. I didn't get to. I didn't even go to HiFiman's table this year. I did hear the organic over-ear, and that was impressive for what they are. $1,200 is the HE-1000 V2 a stealth edition better at $2,000? Yeah. Is it $800 better than the organic? Probably not. You know, but it is better. So, like, if you got $2,000 to spend, I'd say get the HE-1000 V2 stealth. Well, first I'd say try and pick up a used LCD4 because the value of that headphone is still great to this day. But if you're buying new, you know, I got to get a new headphone. I want a brand new headphone. That would be the headphone. But if you don't have the money, or if your budget's stretched a little bit, the HiFiman Aria Organic has got to be the best value sitting out there at $1,200. I mean, it's got to be the best value. The things just perform. That sounded so good, and it's going to scale, you know, with whatever you put with them. Do you still have your Ferrum stack? No. No. Brian Dietz, Mr. Modhouse. You've held me hostage with that information for long enough, sir. Do I still have my Ferrum stack? No, that was part of the trade. If you watch the you watched that electrostatic, was it the electrostatic episode? No, it was when I unboxed the SRX 9000. You know, I made a massive mega trade for this headphone, and I sent off my LCD5 and my Ferrum stack in exchange for an SRX 9000. It was a 2-for-1 trade, and catching my $6,500 headphone in midair, always a good idea. And let's unwrap it from the chair. Good God, people. What have you got me doing? Okay. All right. All's well. All's well. No injuries to report. Yeah, so I made a big trade for that one, and it was a deal with a guy in Singapore. So the shipping was a good chunk of the entire thing. It cost me so much money to do that trade. I had to send my LCD5 with the full box. You know, it's got the rugged travel case, and then the 2 full boxes for the Ferrum, Hypsos, and the Or in a big, huge ass box, and I shipped it to Singapore. And it was fun. Simply for the experience of making that kind of, like, it's like a trade that I don't know, I'm just trying to think of it, like the Lakers would make with the Knicks or something. You know, it's like you're sending your best players, you know, 2 of your best players off for one really great player. So it was fun. It was really fun to do that, but really expensive. And that was before we did the big move. So I couldn't do that trade now because I just can't afford to, you know, drop money like that. But yeah, I did. And Ryan, now we got to talk. Ryan, we got to talk Mod House, buddy. We got to get your Mod House on here on this show. I did. Mod House is one of the booths that I didn't get to, and I knew I was going to catch crap from you, Mr. Dietz. I knew it was gonna be like, how could you not stop? all spring I've been telling you, stop Mod House. Yeah, I know. But now let's do something to get some Mod House on this show. That would be awesome. And I'll review it and do something for it. So anyway, I would love to do that, Ryan. If you get in touch with me at what do we call it? Here comes, boys, my special effect again. directorsgarage@gmail.com. Shameless. You too can be a part of this show. Shameful. Ken Workshop. Yeah, power amp mode is a huge improvement on the Orig. Yeah, it was. It really, for at least the harder to drive stuff. Atrium, Caldera, no big deal. It doesn't need it. But when you start pushing, it made a huge difference on the Abyss 1266TC and the Susvara. It really made a difference. It was a huge change. Or fell short compared to the CFA on Susvara bass. I agree with you 100% on the Caldera. Yeah, it's a special headphone, and to do that, to not need a massive, generator needing, I gotta pull the gas powered generator out on the deck to try and get enough power to drive the Susvara, to not need all of that, and you just plug the Caldera in and they go. It's like, it's like they're born from the same sort of species, but there's just something a little bit easier in every way about the Caldera. How about the Maxwell versus the Batiste, or Bathies if you're from Chicago? No, I didn't hear. I did not listen to the. I did not make it to any Audeze stuff. I was trying in earnest to pull an Audeze rep aside, just to feel them out on what the Sony purchase of Audeze means, big picture. Does this mean we're not going to be hearing from Audeze in that upper echelon space for a while? Is there research and development still going on that top end, or is it all focused now on I just got to keep my master Sony happy and crank out as many gaming products as I can? I really wanted to get that answer from somebody at Audeze, and if somebody from Audeze wants to write me at directorsgarage@gmail.com, I would love to get some information from you guys that I can relay out and chat about on this show, because we're all huge Audeze fans. I think that's one thing that Audeze should know if they've, and I know some people have seen this show, because I did get invited down there and I went through their factory once. I really do care about Audeze because they are one of the innovators and leading companies in the high-end headphone space. And I hope that this purchase, which is great for the company in terms of dollars, I'm sure, enhances their ability and desire to go after that rare air, that thin air up above the LCD5, push the boundary, give me a Carbon Mark II that maybe eliminates some of the Stax fart situation, or gives us an even greater speed out of it, and pushes the boundaries of what bass on an E-Stat can do, because those do bass better than any E-Stat I've heard. And that's a little tip into what we're going to go into in the next full-blown episode of the Director's Garage, which will be coming your way probably next week sometime. That's something I really wanted to. I was trying to get them into a conversation. It's just they were understaffed there, and they were really busy, and I never saw a guy from Audeze just standing around. And I was watching him. I just, you stand around there for 5 minutes, and it's like there's nobody free. Well, I can stand around for another 5 minutes, or I can go check out something else or talk to somebody else or, listen to something else. So I just would, if it wasn't readily available, I kind of moved on because I only had a few hours there. I had one day there. I got there right when it opened and I left when it closed. I just needed to fill my time as efficiently as possible and get as much as I could, because I knew I wanted to do a CanJam report video and give you guys my opinions and insights in the most ridiculous way I could think up, because it's fun and entertaining, I hope. I wanted to get as much stuff as I could. And no, I didn't get to Mod House. Ryan, conspicuously silent since his last post. I love you, Ryan. You're great. I know Va. Okay, well, we cheers to everybody who's new around here, and I know Va, you're new, so we cheers to you. Everybody around the world is raising a glass to you right now. So cheers to that, and cheers to you. Thanks for stopping by. What do you want? No. Got to run into me at the ZMF booth at CanJam. See, this is a problem. I know your handles, but I don't know you. Saw some familiar faces while I was there that I didn't expect. Yeah. And I ran into a lot of people that day. It was so cool. I really, I still at the heart, like I look at my views and stuff and it's like, I don't, we've had 64 views of the live stream, like today. Like, I know I'm not like prolific in the industry. So it's cool that a lot of people like actually now have heard of the show at least, and probably hate it, which I can't blame them. But it was really interesting to meet people, and most people, in fact, everybody was kind. Now they may have walked away from me and gone, "That's the idiot we were talking about." I really wanted to avoid him, but I thought I'd just be nice and say hello. They may have been doing that. Who knows? But everybody who came up was really nice, and especially at lunch. Like I was sitting at lunch, and it was like people just coming in to get it. Like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, I love your show. Blah blah blah. Let's I hope you get to review blah blah blah." Or and I would ask them what they saw that they liked, and I try to go see that, but I just didn't have enough time. It was just such a jam day. It was good. It was a great day. I really enjoyed myself there, and I hope everybody who got there got to hear what they wanted to hear. I got to hear most of what I wanted to hear. So I'll ask the question. Gil Renard says, "I'll go ahead and ask the question that comes up in every discussion of the Aria Organic. How does it compare to its brother, the Aria Stealth?" The Aria Stealth is not as locked into my memory. I would say they're remarkably similar. But the last time I reviewed the Stealth was a good couple of years ago. Now, I can compare things to the HE1000 because I had the HE1000 V2 for years. I owned that headphone. I know that headphone inside and out. I know exactly what it's about. I know what it can do. I know what it sounds like. You could give me a pair, probably give me a pair blind today and go, yeah, that's the Stealth, because that's the HE1000 V2, because I've heard it's the same thing with the Sennheiser, the original HD-800. I had that for so long, for years, that I know the sound of that headphone. The Aria Stealth was here for a few weeks, so like my recollection of that headphone isn't as strong as, say, some of the other headphones I reviewed. That was an Audio 46 sent them to me, and I unboxed them in one episode. I reviewed them in the next episode, and then I sent them away. So they were only here for a limited run. It was a short run, like I was off Broadway, as it were. But I thought they were great, and I thought they were an extreme value at the time, and I would say that they're on a par. I didn't hear anything, that made me go, oh, yeah, one way or the other. I would say that, the next logical step for me up from the Aria Organic would be to the HE1000 V2 or SE, both of which are have come down considerably in price. And you do get an enhanced. I do think that they're more resolving. I like the shape of the shapes are actually tonally they're very similar. They're not that far apart. But yeah, I think that but better than the Stealth, worse than the Stealth. I don't know. I think at that point I would say get whichever one you like looks wise. And I think the Aria Organic is a better looking headphone. I think it's the best. In fact, I will go so far as to say I think the Aria Stealth Organic is HiFiman's best looking headphone. I really do. But it's just my aesthetic. And I normally don't like a black headphone. I like stuff that's got a little more weathered, a little more something to it. I think it's a really attractive headphone. And it's the newest thing. You know, it's kind of fun to have the newest thing, isn't it? I don't know. So that's my feeling. Or wait 6 months and they'll start popping up on the used market. You pick them up for $800. You know, that's the other thing to do. Richard Spector, cheers, buddy. Hey, gents, late start for him. Oh, it's all right. You got here, man. It's all that matters. Chance D, I tune in late, but he'd like to give a shout out to the great Dick Butkus. Yeah, Dick Butkus, man. That's like my young childhood, man. That was my memories of young childhood. He was the Bears back then, and I was also a huge Gale Sayers fan growing up. One of the first books I ever read. Just checking email. Sorry. One of the first books I ever read in my life was a book called I Am Third by Gale Sayers, another great bear who died just a few years ago. And I've got an autographed photo in my archives from Gale Sayers to me that my father got me. And he knew I was a huge Gale Sayers fan. I was also, nothing surpassed my love of Walter Payton. Walter Payton is everything. He was like he was the guy. I mean, I was coming of age. I mean, I remember Gale Sayers and Dick Butkus and those guys. They had retired pretty much by the time my memory starts forming. But, you know, Walter was everything. It was just, I went to Walter's, just so far afield from headphones, but I went to Walter's memorial at the old Soldier Field. It was in January. It's freezing cold. I mean, freezing cold. But I went out for his memorial at Soldier Field, and all the greats were there. All of his teammates were there. Butkus was there. Everybody was there. Everybody was anybody was at that memorial at Soldier Field. I remember it so well. It was a bright, freezing ass day in Chicago, and we all just poured into the stands to pay our respects to somebody who meant a lot to us. Even though, you know, I never knew Walter. It was before I even, you know, was anybody. But I made sure that was something that I felt I needed to do to pay my respects, because he was such a big part of my youth, and I just loved for the guy. I watched all of his interviews. I watched all of his games. It was just everything. Peyton was just the best in every way. Great personality, great person. Did it the way you'd want to do it. Was tough. Just the best. Just the best. So yes, cheers to Dick Butkus. We just lost him last week. Okay. Inova, going to CanJam and listening to a lot of higher end headphones for the first time made me realize that I prefer headphones that are more mid-forward, where vocals are more present. And that's where I kind of discovered that I'm not as big a fan of mid-forward headphones. And part of it is just doing this show. I get so many headphones in here, it's like I know the signatures that I gravitate towards. And and the key thing for me, and I was talking to Zach and Bevan about this in the ZMF, I cannot like a headphone but think it's a good headphone. You know what I'm saying? I can appreciate a headphone that I can tell is made particularly well. The Susvara is made particularly well. It's a very good headphone. Very well-made headphone. the tuning just falls like, it's like an itch I can't scratch on the tuning. But there are people out there just like, as far as best headphone on the planet, what are you talking about, you sniveling idiot? I'm like, you're right. You know, if you, from your perspective, I can totally see what, you know, you see in that headphone. So when I do reviews, look, I've had a few headphones that were clunkers, you know, just out and out, like, got them in here. The build's bad. Nobody sets out to make a bad product. I'm convinced of that. Nobody goes, we're going to make the cheapest, shittiest thing and try and jam it down people's throats and make some money. I don't know of anybody who in the headphone industry that does that, that sets out to do that. Like, that's their mission. Their mission is to make a budget-friendly headphone that they think sounds really good. And there are things along the way that happen. Compromises are made. You get an argument between two people who are fighting for different things, and they made a compromise, and it didn't come out so well in the execution. I'm willing to say that look, this is an execution that just doesn't happen. But for the most part, like, when I hear something, I'll say, this isn't for me, but this is who it's for. If you enjoy a sound that is very mid-forward and a little on the bright side, some people like that brighter sound because it enhances detail, and the detail gets pushed. If you're seeking detail above anything else, I will tell you right now, the Spartacus, this obnoxiously priced IEM that's in my bag with me. This is the best technical IEM I've heard. And I can say that honestly. Like, I've heard nothing that is more technically proficient than this headphone. It is a marvel, and it is a wonder to listen to and check out stuff on it because it's tremendously revealing. It's got an excellent tuning. It's the superlatives of this, and I carry these around with me all over the place because I wind up listening to them on flights and when I'm on trips and stuff. Great stage for an IEM. So much great to say about these. These aren't my favorite IEMs. I've been very blatant about that. These are not, like, if I could draw up my perfect IEM, my favorite REM, not the band, folks, the ear thing. My favorite, my favorite IEM that I've heard is the Sultan. It's also by Noble, but the Sultan has a more relaxed mid-range. It's not as hyper detailed as these, and it's got a tremendous bottom end. It's got a tremendous fun bottom end on that, and I enjoy the tuning of those. Those are my favorite IEMs to this day. I don't own them anymore because I had to sell them to buy other stuff. I'm like, I'm not going to keep two top-tier Noble IEMs in-house. It's ridiculous. There's considerable overkill going on. You know what I mean? But the Sultan is like, to me, that's my favorite IEM I've heard to date, and I will, I'll be perfectly transparent. Are they the best IEM? No, because they are not as fast as this. They are not as resolving. They don't image quite as well. Probably comparable on stage. But the tuning is just perfect for me on the Sultan. I love that IEM. That's cool. Did you go up to DMS and tell him your channel is better than his? Oh, my channel is nowhere near as good as DMS. I'd be lying if I said that. He does this shit for a living. I do this for fun. I would not go up to somebody and lie. No. Chance D, is this a hobby or an addiction? CanJams, Willy Wonka's for adults. Yeah. It's both. It's both. It's a hobby and an addiction. I'm addicted to quality sound, and I'm addicted to, like, finding that ultimate sound. You know what I mean? Too bad you didn't get to try the tungsten. Yeah, that was another one. Oh, that was the one. Ryan Dietz. I'm sure the backlog after the show is huge. He got in line before the show. Yeah, glad. And I think it was just a matter of time. I just didn't have enough time to get to everything. I wish I did. I wish I had time. I wish I had that second day. If this show ever gets to 500,000 subscribers and we are raking in enough money to pay the mortgage every month, I can definitely tell you I will be at both days of CanJam. Sorry, honey, going to work. But until we have 500,000 subscribers, like and subscribe, this will not be, that will not be the case. Roger Houston, he loves the Susvara. They're very particular about how you amplify them. He likes them on tubes. Well, that's the problem, Roger. Most tube amps aren't powerful. You know, like you don't see. There are very, very few tube amps that deliver the power necessary to drive the Susvara. That's the truth. The WA33, I think that's 7 watts. It's not enough. I mean, if you're really looking to push that headphone, you need a 25 watt tube amp. Find a 25 watt. I mean, you've got to get. It's got to be a speaker tube amp to do it. Or, you know, I don't know the technicals on, as you're mentioning, the amps and sound, or, you know, probably the Viva that I auditioned, but I auditioned those with the Caldera. Probably would do a pretty good job of it, but beyond that, it's like they still don't have that slam in the bass that kind of you start getting into with the Caldera. I'm not going to call the Caldera a slam headphone, but at least it's there. You know, it certainly isn't the LCD4 level of slam, and that's something that's important to me in sound. I love that sound like you're getting whacked on the back of the head from a headphone. All right, a couple more, guys, and I got to go. Roger Houston, I don't like it as much on the WA33. The 23 is pretty good. And I found out the 23 is actually, in Woo's lineup, it's a step below the 33. I don't know exactly how, because I haven't gone into the specifics. I haven't looked at the data sheet on those. But they told me point blank that this is not positioned to be, the 23 is not their new flagship. The WA33 is still their flagship. The WA23 is supposed to be a step below in their lineup. Didn't like it as much on the Or stack, but it did well in the Hollow Bliss for him. He does like mid-forward vocals. And see, I'm more into the more V, I think, for me, personally. Amsterdam Nautilus has more than enough power. It is the reason he picked it up. Okay, great. I just don't know how many. Do you know what the wattage is on that? What's it throwing out? I'll look it up after the show. I'm not going to be able to answer that today. Have you tried the Shure SE846 Gen 2 IEMs? No. I haven't tried a Shure in a while. I do have their electrostatic here that I still listen to from time to time. I actually enjoy that. It's a really great sound, especially for jazz. It's really nice. Really nice IEM. But no, I haven't tried any of their recent, and those are more consumer, in the consumer end of things, and I'm like, we're a little higher than that. Yeah, how is the WA5LE WA23? Well, I listened to the 23. I didn't think I had enough time at the 23 to really give it a thorough run through, and I didn't put anything on the. All I had was the Diana V, the Diana MR, which is their easy to drive version of the Diana, and I had my Caldera. I don't know that I like the 33 is definitely a step up from my 5LE. There's no question about that. The 23 is probably closer to the 33, so yeah. But like, this thing has a different like space in my, because I've had it for so long. It's, you know, it's more like comfort food. It's a great tube amp. It is still a great tube amp. And most people will tell you it is a great tube amp, but it's 5 watts. So it can't, you know, it can't do justice for the Susvara. It's just not enough. It's not enough juice to really light them up properly. It'll make sound. It'll make a good sound. It'll make, you know, it's nice, but it's not going to push the Susvara. The Bakun is my amps and sound. Whereas Roger got the amps and sound, I got the Bakun specifically to push the Susvara. That's why it's here. It's here for no other reason than it's 25 plus ish watts per channel out. So that's, you know, that's why that amp is there. It's specifically for the Susvara. I still can't get the Susvara where I want them. So there you go. Come on, guys, let's get the director to go to 500,000. Maybe he'll raffle off the DCS. I will do that. I will tell you point blank. At 500,000, I will give away a Lena DAC. Because I'm assuming at 500,000, I'm going to be making enough to make the mortgage payment on this house. Nautilus Max Power 8 ohms, 8 watts to 8 ohms. How much is that into 32? I don't know. I got to do the math. We'll look at it later because it's that's stuff that I got to actually concentrate on. I can't concentrate while I'm trying to keep you guys interested. Mr. Persuasion, cheers, Mr. Persuasion. Watched my review for the Carbon and mentioned you'd play them at very high volume. Have you tried using earplugs with them? There are earplugs meant to lower the volume for music. No, I haven't. What I did was I bought a different amp. I wound up buying that Alphabet amp, the KGS SHV Carbon CC, a gorgeous top-of-the-line amp from a Molnar. Another Molnar. Too many Molnars in this world. Yeah, the Bakun can really push the power out. Yeah. Yeah, the Bakun is an impressive piece of kit, and it's funny because the Enlium 23R came out, and there was this mad rush to the Enlium, and then about 2 or 3 months later, there's a mad rush back to the Bakun, and going, the Enlium's got some problems. There's some problems with that Enlium. Let's go back to the Bakun. The Bakun is a better place. So I'd never had the Enlium, and I haven't heard the Enlium. The amp that blew me away, and this is clear in the review video from CanJam, was the Zal HM1. Because that's got all the power of the Bakun, but it's available all the time. It's a Class A amp. It's pushing out that 25 watts constantly, and the attenuator is just the little valve. It's like all the pressure's there. You're just opening the valve to your liking, you know. So that's what made it's the opposite of this thing stages power. Whereas the Bakun stages power, the HM1 has all of that power available all the time. So yeah, that's why that's one of the amps that I'm dying to get in here and really mess with. So, and yeah, the 3.5 watts per channel, a ton of current. Yeah, that'll, I'll mention it did. All right, guys, I'm going to start wrapping it up because I've got stuff to do. I've got things to do, places to see. I'm going to try. I don't know if I'm going to get to the video tonight or not. We'll see. I'm actually don't know if I'm going to get to shoot tonight. If I'll have the voice or the energy to do it. That's been the biggest problem the last 3 nights. Like, I've gotten to the evening when I would typically shoot an episode, and I'm like, I'm just out of gas. Like, I need to go to bed. I'm just tired. You know, I just want to veg out, listen to some music, and get out and get on with it. So I'm just super excited for what's ahead. I'm super excited to get this X9000 review rolling and get it out to you guys. And so cheers, everybody, one last time. Tip your waiters and waitresses. Make sure you're recycling those beer bottles. And I'm going to see you guys before you know it. I'll have the new video out next week, and we'll do another live stream at some point here. Just keep your eyes and ears open. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell. It'll tell you when we're coming. All right, guys. Cheers. Get out of here. I got to go.